trying to point something that in this statement that this problem that as a Black community we have doesn't make any sense to me, because we are basically going through the same situation. If Black America was watching what is happening to Black Africa, they will know that we are fighting the same situation, but in a different way. In Africa, it is worse. It is worse. But yeah, because yes, we are not connected, as most of them say. And it's sad because it's the young generation who talks like that the most. It worries me. So the case of Congo DRC, for example, you have children who die. You talk about, in French we call this material, this natural resource called temps and whatever you call it, to make, do you know that for a cell phone that you use to do your selfies or everything, 24 children in Congo DRC die for that. Because we are not connected. That's the reason why many people cannot feel the pain, because we've been living in Africa a long time, we don't know, we don't feel, because really, is it something that, can you see how we become very indifferent to each other? 24 children die for that. Okay, we do selfies, we look beautiful in our pictures, but there is a price for that. 24 children. What is happening now? There is a Holocaust. Billions of people dying in Congo DRC. But people do not talk about it because, yes, I understand the world is, we are not connected. A few years ago, if you remember, there was a situation that happened in Libya. There were Black Africans. They weren't French speakers like us, for some of us who manifested against that, okay? And countries like that, but they were sold. There were some reporters, TV reporters, journalists who went to hide. That with hiding camera, they were recording the scene. In cages, they were in cages. Like in the old days of slavery, because usually people say, oh, in slavery of the old days, we will be fighting about. That was the time. That was the time to show that it cannot. For me, I really felt that Afro-descendants of slaves would stand up and say that cannot happen under our watch in this present century, in this decade. But surprisingly, quite. That situation passed almost not on TV. Big celebrities, Black people, well-known figure, people who stood up, who denounced it, were who again? Black African, because yes, we are African and they were African. Sad for us, yes. The Arab was selling, the Libyans, Arabic Libyan, I don't know who they were. They were selling Black African, sometimes even for cell phones. They were in cages. I will put some picture of the headlines on that. There was journalist from a Black French. When I say Black French, it's the people of the Caribbean, the French Caribbean, like I say. They are usually with us when we denounce something, that we are always, with African, we are usually together. She say, I talked about that a long time, but people didn't care. I report that there is a situation of slavery that was happening in Libya, in North Africa. I didn't see people of the Black diaspora, other than the Black French and Black African, who were working to denounce the situation. Because of course, we are not connected. We are not African. That's a statement that always people, the Black diaspora, say on the other side usually. We are not connected. We don't have the same situation. We don't have the same issue. We don't eat. Some of them even go to say we don't eat the same ways. That's the most important argument for them. We don't eat the same ways. But you'll be surprised to say that many of our brothers and sisters with Black diaspora can voice their opinion when it comes to the war in Ukraine. They talk about that. They tweet about that. You have some of them who also are pro-Palestine or pro-Israel, and they talk about it. They work. They manifest. So what does that mean? They are more connected to the other side. But when it comes to Africa, we are not connected. We don't know Africa. We don't have the same history. We don't have this. I don't know if you see what's happening here. But sometimes when I listen to something like that, I don't know the street of Africa, but you know the street of Ukraine. You know the street of Gaza, maybe, I don't know. But you don't know the street of Africa because, of course, we are African. Our life don't matter. When something happened to Black diaspora, I'm telling you, you ask to Africa a little bit of history of Haiti, they will tell you what happened in Haiti. They will tell you what happened in some part. Even in Brazil, we know a little bit what happened to the Black diaspora. We know. We are not ignorant about what is happening. I know that every African are not perfect. Sometimes when they discuss about some situation, I know sometimes it can be ignorant, but usually we know what happened. And when something happened, we talk about that publicly, on TV, everyone, conferences. But when something happened to African people, Black diaspora is quiet. The only diaspora who talk a lot about our situation also, who can sometimes talk, are Black French. Other than that, we are on our own. That conference was very interesting because I'm going to talk about that a little bit. And I'm going to show you how, in some ways, we have a lot of issues. And I don't know why we are fighting each other. If you don't see, we are in the same situation. Neocolonialism is real. It is real in Africa. We are still on our knees fighting and fighting. The thing that Cheikh Ali Ndiop wanted to do is like, let's talk together. We are fighting the same situation. But then no, you're not connected to Africa. Sorry. We don't have the same history. We don't eat the same way. We don't have the same issue.